live, and then hopefully we get some people that actually want to like interact and talk. And yeah, I'm gonna do the wired internet. So hopefully that's a little bit better. There might be a little bit of a delay from me, but hopefully it's not too bad.
Okay.
You can hear and see me okay?
We're good.
Okay.
I'm on Starlink, so hopefully you can hear me.
Oh, you
okay.
are. Wow. So does that work good? You have to tell me about Starlink.
I mean, we'll see if these drones flying around start jacking with it or something. I don't know.
Dude, what is going on with that? That is so, I'm obsessed with that story. I'm like reading it every day. I'm just hitting refresh. Drones, what's going on? Like, I keep getting all these different takes, and this is the latest one that I've heard that makes the most sense to me. Is somebody said, and I mean, this is just like some random person on Twitter or Reddit or something, so it could be total bullshit, but it makes sense to me. Is they said it's from our government, and what it is they're testing these drones that are our government drones, and testing they can test for gamma rays to see if there was a dirty bomb. And not that there is one now, but they're just testing these to see like what is people's reactions and would, you know, and how's it work. And supposedly that's what this guy said. And I was like, that kind of makes more sense, because people said, oh, it's from Iran or China or something. And I'm like, I feel like if it was from Iran or China, they would have freaked out, and they would have the military in there, shoot them down, right? Or something.
I mean, I can tell you what they really are if you want to know.
Oh, you know?
Oh yeah, I've got the inside. The body man knows, man. It's got
Okay.
inside take. Joe Biden's missing, man. So they've sent out these drones to go find him. He wandered out the front door of the White House, and they're trying to find him by the inauguration day. So
why is he in New Jersey then, of all places?
He doesn't know where New Jersey is. He doesn't know where Delaware is. Come on.
If Joe Biden is missing, then who's tweeting from the account? Because I thought that was really him doing that. No, it's not.
I'm pretty sure it was Hunter.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think Hunter's been tweeting out. He's been the president all along.
Yeah.
Actually, Jill has
what
been.
They should have a silver alert then. Isn't that what it's called when it's an old person that's missing?
Something like that.
Silver alert, amber alert if it's a kid.
Definitely silver if it's Joe. So, man, I don't know what those things are. I've seen the same news stories. Don't watch TikTok. I don't go on TikTok very much anyways, but if you do, it's their version of what's going on is the weirdest crap. It is going to be a war. There's going to be the government's doing some kind of scan for a future battle, or I mean, it's like it's all over what they're saying. What limited amount I've seen on TikTok of which I think is supposed to get shut down here in a few days, anyways, isn't it?
Oh, really? I didn't hear that. Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, how could you not be interested in this topic? Like, it's just so fascinating to me. It's weird that it isn't a bigger story. I mean, it's kind of becoming a bigger story, but these drones have been in New Jersey for how long, and how many videos have been up, and people have been posting about it. And it's not like there's like any sort of shutdown or like, you know, alert from our government or some sort of emergency, like I don't know. Like they're saying, the government's saying, oh, everything's fine. These are just convenience store drones that are just people that went and bought I didn't know you could buy a drone at a convenience store. I mean, I knew like you get them at Walmart or something, but a convenience store, like, so you go to 7-Eleven and you get a drone that's that big, because those ones look big. Some people said they were the size of a sedan.
Yeah. I've reached out to a few people. So all joking aside with them. So I've reached out to a few people that have said they've seen them, and they said they're big. Mm-hmm. They're not store-bought. The people that have seen them, supposedly, again, you're always working, unless you've seen them with your own eyes, you're working off kind of a secondhand knowledge or third.
I've seen the videos. Have you seen the videos there's several videos.
Yeah. And the videos are interesting. Now the videos also, the problem is right now in this time we live, it's a fascinating time. It's so easy to fake just about anything. With just the technology that we're talking on, just with the computer. If you have a Mac, different things.
But these are from like legitimate news sources. The news, those ones are, yeah. If it's just like Steve Bob 3829, then yeah, you have to kind of like take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I mean, some of the news stories they've compiled, and they say it's real. I mean, the news isn't always 100% accurate either, but I mean, these are people that are like, they're skeptical, and they're going on and they're saying, look, I was skeptical, and it's like, now I'm seeing it for myself, and they'll show the thing. And there's one, I mean, some that obviously look like drones, but there's one that I saw that looks like some sort of spinning ball of light. It's very bizarre. I don't know if it's like a photography trick or, again, it could be like you said, fake, could be AI, could be who knows what, but it's very interesting either way.
So I went out a couple nights ago when I was kind of seeing more stories about it, and I started seeing some stuff in the sky. Now I live out in the country, but I have a flight plan not far away, so you frequently see planes. But I saw this one that seemed to be not acting like a plane, and it kind of seemed to it went behind my view, and then another one came back. So I thought maybe it turned, and I thought, and it wasn't super low, but it wasn't the height planes normally are. So I tried to film it on my phone, and from far off, I could just see the blinking lights, and I could see it moving slowly through the sky. As I zoomed in on my iPhone, then it became basically just it caught the light, so it made it become like an orb or a ball. But it wasn't that, because you could see it with your eye that it was a plane. But it was, so that's but I have seen some videos of the orbs that look, I mean, they look like it's not a plane, that's for sure. So
Yeah, I mean that's another theory is that some of these are drones and some of them are UFOs, and we sent drones to explore the UFOs, and that's what's going. I mean, there's a lot of stories, and trying to find the truth. That's what's so crazy about the time we live in is there's so much information, but you got to sort through what is real and what is fake. And so a lot of times the mainstream media is not the real source. Like they're the ones that are being dishonest, and that's what's really crazy. So for something like this, it's like, and even our own government is saying we don't know what it is, and it's not a foreign entity, and it's like, I mean, I feel like different government people have said different things, and that's what's also crazy. Like,
yeah, that's probably the most troubling, the fact that the government's coming out and saying nothing to be afraid of, but we don't really know yet what it is. So that's okay. So it's either something military, it's something they know what it is, and they just don't want to tell us for whatever reason. National security, again, Joe's out missing, and they don't want to tell. We haven't found Joe yet. Whatever's going on, but it's definitely troubling. It's definitely troubling that you're not getting. You would think they'd give you just a standard boil, even just come out and say, "Hey, yeah, they're military drones. We're out just kind of testing out some new technology that we're going to use in the future." But if that's what they are doing, then they clearly don't want to say that.
Or, I mean, they could just say like, we can't comment on that right now, but you just tell people, are they safe or not? Like they won't say, if they just said like, hey, right now the safety, everyone's safe, but we can't comment on what it is, but we will tell you eventually or something, like, I don't know. It's kind of, it's weird when they just say like, oh, that's just nothing. Those are just people with because there has to be, FAA laws. Like you can't just fly a drone into the airport, and these are getting really close to the airport. They're in the flight plans. Like, I mean, I can't just go down to Sky Harbor here in Phoenix and fly a drone and get right in the way of the planes. I mean, there's got to be a law against that, isn't there? I mean, I would feel like if there isn't, there should be.
Yeah, I saw something on the news earlier. It was on a reputable news site saying that an airport it wasn't one of the big ones, but a smaller airport in New York actually ceased flight operations last night for an hour or two because
I think I saw that too. Yeah,
there was a swarm of these drones, and they said there was a safety factor. So,
do you think if it is convenience store drones, like they say, do you think it's organized? Like it's some group that is just trying to fuck with people, and they're like, hey, let's get a bunch of drones and fly them over New Jersey and just see what we can do.
It could be. That's an option. Again, I think based on the news stories or the reports I've seen, they're bigger than what you could go buy at Costco or Best Buy or wherever. So, when you're talking commercial grade military style drones, you're not talking about a couple $100 or a couple $1,000. You're talking about, probably $500,000 plus and up devices. That's going to limit who's going to have them, obviously. So, again, I think that goes back to the military mainly. I have heard people say it could be Iran, could be another country. One would think if that was the case, our military wouldn't allow them to be up there. But we also let balloons go across the United States. What was that, last year or the year before? Whatever year that was last year. Well, if you just
at least that was identified as a Chinese spy balloon pretty quickly, and then I think it was eventually shot down, or
it was fighter jet. Yeah. Okay. One of them came over close to where I live. Actually, I didn't see it, but I had a friend that saw it and took pictures and sent it to me. So my neighbor next door said he saw it. I don't know why I didn't see it that day. Maybe I wasn't home or whatever. But
well, and that actually makes sense because it's a spy balloon and it's going in a direction, it's flying through. But what's weird to me is like, okay, if these drones are just getting information, they're still there. They're still in New Jersey. Like, why do they just keep going up in New Jersey? I know there's some military bases over there, but it just the timing of it seems odd. And then the fact that they're still there, like what has changed? Like, why do you need to be in the same location for several days at a time? That's what's weird.
Yeah, but I think in New Jersey, especially, I think it's going on close to a month since people first started commenting that they saw these things. It's been a while.
Wow. Crazy. So, well, I hope they get it sorted out, whatever it is. And hopefully it doesn't come to Phoenix. And so wait, where are you? Are you in Virginia? Is that?
I'm in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're like, which part of North Carolina though?
Well, if I give you my location, the drones might come here.
No, it's crazy though, because I was just in North Carolina. I should have tried to hang out with you.
I'm about an hour out. I'm kind of in this weird spot where I'm about an hour from Charlotte, North Carolina, an hour from Asheville, North Carolina, an hour from Greenville, South Carolina. So I'm in this little country triangle that it's cool for concerts and stuff because I can get just about anywhere I want to go in an hour for concerts.
I was down there and I was in, we went to Oak Island for like a family thing. I don't know how far away you are from there.
Nowhere near me.
Oh, okay. So, okay. And then I don't feel bad.
Yeah,
I always feel bad if I'm in someone's town and I'm like, oh, I should have like hit them up. And of course I was doing the family thing. So I didn't really have a lot. You
were probably like 8 hours from me. 7.
Okay.
The other thing people don't realize, North Carolina is kind of thin and really long. So that's
what I thought. You're more north and this is like south, right?
Think about it east to west is probably better to think about it. You were on the east side because you were on the coast.
Yeah.
And I'm in the mountains. And
okay. Are you close to Virginia though, or am I crazy with that?
I can get to Virginia and probably about part of it in about 3 hours, maybe.
Oh, so you're closer to Virginia than you would have been like Oak Island or whatever.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It's
but
weird.
No drones there. No drones. You haven't seen any drones.
I haven't, but a friend said he saw 3 of them come over the Hendersonville area, which is up the road from me, not too far, and which I'm in depending on which way they were coming, they would come near my direction, possibly if they came down the mountain. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen them, but I peek outside every now and then just to see if ET's phoning home. So
yeah, I'd be curious to see if they came here. I mean, it'd be interesting if they came in a more rural area. Would people try to shoot them down?
Yeah. My neighbors have already said that. We're shooting these things if they come near our property.
I want to see, because if you shoot one down, then you can look at it and see if it's a convenience store drone, it would say like 7-Eleven on the back or whatever, right? And if it's from Iran, I think it'd have an Iran flag or
it'd say "Death to America," probably. I would think so.
Well, that could be Chinese too, though, or it could be a lot of countries don't like us. Yeah, we've made a lot of enemies over the years.
We're continuing to make more by the day, I think, unfortunately. So
really, you don't think it's going to turn around? I hope it turns around.
I hope it turns around too. I don't know. It
seems like people are sick of all the forever wars and the yeah.
I think even because I have a lot of friends in the military, a lot of friends that are have gotten out, and that's the general consensus is not. I don't want to speak for most of them, but you hear a lot of complaints that's like, what the hell did we just do for 20 years? In the Middle East, did we make it better? And I've studied a lot just from a fiction standpoint to tell stories
for your books.
About, for my books. And, I'll admit 20 years ago when 9/11 happened and everything, I was definitely kind of like, rah, let's take it to these people. And, 20 years has passed and I've learned a lot. And I guess I'm becoming more like libertarian isolationist at this point. It's like, I don't think we need bases in 100 countries around the world. I don't think we need to give away billions of dollars. I think if we need to leave a country and that country then falls to another country, then kind of not my taxpayers' problem. So, yeah.
Well, and you just look at the root cause of a lot of these things. It's like, I feel like it's driven by money more so than like helping people. Because there's a lot of places where we probably should go, or if we were going to help people, like, there's places in Africa and stuff that there are people like genocide happening and slavery that we could go in and actually make a difference and be pretty good thing for humanity. But
Yeah.
We're not doing those things. We're not helping those because it's not financially, beneficial to us or whatever. I mean, that's just what it seems like. I'm sure this stuff is way more complicated and too smart for me, but I mean,
Well,
yeah, I'm kind of at the same mindset as you. Is like, we need to kind of like take our money back and just focus on America and get right here. Cause I feel like sometimes even if we are good intentioned, we do more harm than good,
yeah.
you know? Like you look back on a lot of these wars, you go, oh, like we probably shouldn't have been there. Like, and how many like origin stories have we started with like drone strikes and, you accidentally kill a family.
Yep.
I mean, that person's going to grow up hating America. Like,
Yep.
and, I don't know. I don't think that's good.
First novel I wrote, which never got published. I might do something with it now that I have my own indie publishing at some point. I have to clean it up and make some changes because it's 10 years old now. But it explored kind of drone technology
Oh.
and, what could be done with them. And that's one of the things that I kind of brought up in the story is, yeah, you can have someone in Las Vegas flying a drone that's dropping a bomb in, Riyadh or wherever, and it's taking out this terrorist leader.
Mm-hmm.
But you hit the wrong convoy and you kill 50 people. Exponentially, how many martyrs have you just created that are going to want to
Yeah.
come? If take what's happening right now in the United States with these drones or whatever's happening. If some of them start dropping bombs, and if hypothetically you find out that Iran is sending these drones and they drop a bomb and it kills one of my kids, I'm not going to be like, man, that sucked. My
Mm-hmm.
life's mission is going to be to go fuck up those people that just killed my kids. So if
Right.
it's Iran or whatever country, I'm going to be wanting to join the revolution against taking down your military, your government. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's one of the things that we have this great technology, but man, how you use that technology can have unintended consequences for sure.
Yeah. It's just, it's sad because you don't want to bring heartache and pain around the world and suffering. I mean, so you like to think that we're the good guys and we're helping people and we're doing the right, but some of this stuff is so, I don't even think it's not a clear black, like we were raised, you and I especially, like we're raised in the, in the time of the heroes, the good guys and the bad guys. And like, we were raised to think we're the good guys and the other guys are the bad guys. And it's just not that simple. There's a lot of
Right.
gray area where it's like, I mean, a lot of these leaders that we've taken out, I don't know, were they bad guys? Like, and some of them you're like, are they good? Are they bad? Like maybe they were actually the good guy, or maybe there was some good, or maybe we should have stayed out of it. And that's just
Right.
what I'm kind of coming to the conclusion of, was like, we need to stay out of it. And
Yeah.
hopefully these drone things are not from, haunting us from some sort of past thing that we did, that we pissed somebody off and now they've got drones and now they're bringing the drones in to either recon for something, or maybe these drones are already loaded up and we're just waiting. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Well,
I would think if it, like you said, if it's a foreign thing and we're not shooting them down, that's pretty crazy.
yeah. And I tend to think it's not that. Yeah,
I hope
it
not.
gets back to what you said though. It gets really complicated really fast because I think most of the time, yes, it's beyond our wisdom or our knowledge of what might be happening and just the interdynamics of all the global affairs that happen. But ultimately, I think when it comes down to it, normally it's about money, it's about power. And the money and power is only held in the hands of a few. It's not, the majority are workers. The workers are, we have to provide the goods for everyone else, and farmers creating food for everyone. But the real money and power, is held in a select few. And that's what wars are fought over. So my latest book, Babylon Will Rise, it's not political. It's more of just a nuclear story and in this group that's going in and trying to recover this bomb. But the backstory behind it involves Iran and Iraq and the conflict that they had in the early 80s.
Mm.
And, fascinating. Iraq used chemical weapons on Iran, a
Mm.
fact. That's not like, oh, that's hypothetical. No, they had chemical weapons. How'd they get chemical weapons? We more than likely are the ones that gave it to them. We pretty much, to some degree, put Saddam Hussein in power, at least supported him. And then, of course, fast forward 20, 30 years, 20 years, whatever it was, we don't need him anymore. We'll take him out and, we'll replace him. And what are we going to replace him with? Or is it going to be more stable? And I think Saddam was a he was insane. If you read the stories of he had a copy of the Quran done, and the ink was partially used. His blood was used, so it was a copy of the Quran done in a ink that was his blood was part of the
Wow.
makeup of it.
That's
I mean,
so
that's
crazy.
like
There's so many
megalomaniac,
things. Yeah.
insane, whatever you want to call it.
Right. It's so crazy because if you just watch the news and you kind of like, you get like, it's almost like propaganda. Like you just get one side of it and you're getting such a little, like they don't have enough time in a 25-minute newscast to like explain these conflicts. And if you start going down the rabbit hole, you start listening to podcasts and you start listening to experts and reading books. And then it's kind of like crazy, like how much you could just go down the rabbit hole and all this stuff with our government and how our government interferes with elections in other countries. And I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff. I don't know. You like to think we're the good guys and we're helping people. We're doing, but you also kind of wonder maybe some of these times, at least some of the time, we're not the good guy. We're the bad guy. And I don't know. I try not to dwell on it too much, but it is really fascinating.
The CIA has paramilitary parts of it, and they are trained to topple governments. That is their job. Their job is to go out there and topple governments. And that's not like some conspiracy theory or something that's in the National Enquirer. Like fact, there's documents out there that prove it's like Project MK Ultra, all the stuff that happened. Crazy. I mean, so yeah, there's things. And again, I take the stance of as a whole, I love my country and I believe we've been a force for good in many instances. However, I think we've got some horrific things that have also been done in the name of freedom. And I mean, even like the Iraq war, the big selling point back in the, the early 2000s was, well, we're going to bring freedom to the Iraqis. We're going to give them, a representative government where they've been under a tyrant. That's not exactly how everybody wants to live. So we can't always take our form of government and think, well, this will be a perfect fit for Iraq or Iran.
Because they want to live under, what do you call that? The religious thing.
Islamic
Sharia
law. Sharia law.
Yeah. So like, I mean, that's some people, they want to bring that here and they want America to be under Sharia law. So yeah, it's very different. And that's why I'm with you. I'm kind of like, let's pull back on some of this stuff. Let's let them do their thing. And like, let's get our country. And we got a lot of problems here. I'll tell you that. Like, I mean, as much as I love this country, it's amazing. It's so beautiful. Yeah. So many good things, but there's a lot of people that are really struggling. And I don't know, that's what always bothers me. And then I try to like think, what can I do? How do I help people? And it's like, you get overwhelmed, but I don't know. I'd like to hope that our country's like going back in the right direction, but who knows? You never know.
I like to, I tend to have more of a optimistic viewpoint on things. I think I had to learn a few years ago what was my thought process on a lot of things that I maybe wasn't sure about. And I concluded that I'm much more of the glass is half full, not half empty. Even if sometimes it maybe is half empty, I think your mindset and what you put out there has a lot of effect and it has a lot of consequences. So I think if you put more positivity out there, you're going to at least fight against the negativity more.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think too, it's like, what is that? Is he like a Marine or a Navy? That speech, I always quote this, where the guy's like, if you want to change the world, like start by making your bed. Like basically like take care of your own shit first. Make sure your stuff is like, your life is really in order and your life is going great and everything's perfect. And then you can start trying to help other people. Cause I think I forget about that. I'm just like, I'm always so worried about everyone else that I'm like, oh yeah, I should probably like take care of my own shit. And, that's probably like, I mean, I'm thinking of like, and I always think like big, like the world, like how do I help like America? There's all this homeless and drug addicts. Like, how do I help get them back on track? And like, I like to do like a podcast that maybe this will inspire people, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you maybe just can't save everybody. That was like, I used to be a school counselor and one of my principals like told me, he's like, Chuck, you can't save everybody. You can't save them all. And I was like, no, I'm going to save every kid. Like every kid's they're going to turn their life around because of me. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't something like, I mean, there's people that are close to me that are like, I consider like lifelong friends that are really struggling. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do. Like There's people that are struggling with addiction. Like they just don't want to get better. They don't want help. They want to basically like one friend, close friend, like she's on a path of death. Like, and there's just like nothing I can do. I'm like, I care about her. Like if she called me right now and said, I want to get healthy. I want to get off drugs. Will you help me? Yes, I will take, but there's a million people that would do that for her. She doesn't need me. And it's like, she doesn't want to do it. So it's like, I don't know. It's just like, it's sad because she's a kid and everything. And it's like, there's so many stories like that. And I don't know how we change that as a society. Like, it's just, it's got to like, I mean, so many things have to like, it's not politicians. And so people say like, oh, if this person wins the election, then life's going to change. And it's like, no, it doesn't work. It's like the societal thing, like how we raise people and what to do, what their purpose is. And like, we don't do enough about that. And because I think everyone has a purpose. I feel like everybody is good at something,
right?
And can do something good in the world. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm good at, but obviously it's not podcasting because it's like my podcast is tanking lately. But hey, Adika saying hi.
You know, I don't know if that's, I don't know if you should take that as a negative reflection on your podcast. I think in general, there's a lot in the last couple months, just talking with different people. There's like people that sell, you know, booksellers and stuff like that. Like, a lot of the numbers are down. I don't know if,
oh, really?
If
with
books general
too,
malaise going on with people right now or economy.
I think it's everything. I think there is so many podcasts. There are so many books. There are so many Instagram accounts and TikToks and all this stuff. There's so many bands. I mean, how many musicians have I had on the show, on my show to try to promote their music? And there's so many people that come on my show and I'm like, this guy is so fucking talented.
Yeah.
And they're barely surviving or whatever, you know? And it's like I think they should be selling out arenas, but I mean, I think so many people should be selling out arenas and not everybody can sell an arena. There's only so many people that are going to buy a ticket. So I think it's just a numbers game. And I feel like I've noticed that too, with like, just my social media is like not getting as much stuff as it, you know, like I used to post a picture of like me and my girlfriend and it would like, you know, it gets whatever, 150 likes. And now it's like, you know, like 80 or something. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't know.
I think people maybe just are getting burnt out from it because I've definitely noticed that this fall book sales I think are a lot less from my, because I've had 2 books out this year. I saw a definite difference between the June release and this release that just came out 8 days ago, 9 days ago. I think it's also like circling back to what we were talking about with drones and everything is this year. I mean, we've talked about, I think in previous podcasts, COVID was just weird shit, man. It was just weird shit. You know, the way society reacted to it, the way the government locked things down, the way some people were just kind of like, oh, you want me to stay in my house and not go anywhere? Or, you know, like a stay in place order in your county for 2 weeks. Okay. The fact that people just quickly flip their brains and say, oh, we're going to save everyone. We got to do this. It's like, whoa, hold on. So
yeah, well, it's like you had such a dichotomy. You had people that were like, they liked wearing the mask. They were excited to wear a mask and they were excited to lock down and excited to get a vaccine. And then you had the complete opposite. And I was kind of in the middle trying to figure out like, oh, what side should I be on? I don't know what I'm not a doctor. Like I don't know what to do. Like it was very bizarre. Yeah, no, that was really strange. I still I feel like they need to make a Netflix show about that. Like I would watch it.
They probably are trying. Well, if they can make money off it, but again, that's another thing too. When you talk about like podcast viewership being down, book sales being down, I think the streaming services have really been suffering because again, there's so much content out there. You know, I got rid of cable. Been at least a year now, I think. So I have. Let me think about that. I have to think about this. This is bad. I have Paramount Plus, Peacock, Netflix. Those are the primary. And then I think with I have another, one of the packages I have gives me Disney Plus and a few others that I don't even like turn on maybe once every 3 or 4 months. So I've got those are the ways I watch television now, like football games. If it's not on Peacock and it's not on Paramount Plus, I don't get to watch it. You know, if it's on Fox, I don't see any games. If it's on ABC, I don't see any of those games. So
you don't have Fox and ABC?
No, I don't have apps for them. No.
It's so crazy. Yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly right. There's too much content out there. And that's what I've come to realize. I'm like, I don't, what am I doing? Like, why am I making a podcast? We don't need more podcasts. We got enough podcasts. We got enough TikTokers. We don't need more of this shit. Like I'm just, when I post a podcast now, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm like, I'm not making the world better. I feel like I'm just contributing more shit to the pile of garbage that's out there. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I need to do less podcasts. I need to do something more else.
Yeah, it depends what angle you're coming at with the podcast. If you're informing people, if you're helping give people a voice, then I think it is important. I mean, I understand what you're saying.
There's so many other people that do it, and it's like I'm just saying, like, I don't think I'm not saying my podcast isn't useful, or I feel like I'm stating interesting things or entertaining things or insightful or inspiring things. You know, I feel like that's what our conversations are about. But I just think, I don't know that when I just think, like, what does the world need? Like, I'm making a list right now. I got it behind my office here, and it's like problems in the world, my interests and my skills, and trying to match something and trying to figure something else out. And I'm just thinking, I don't think there's a problem that the world needs more podcasts or more content or more, you know, it's like, it's funny because I'm doing all these live streams and you're the first one. I'm going to try to do like 8 or 9 of them. And I don't think the world needs more of that, but I will say I chose the live stream because I feel like, oh, you know, maybe there's some people out there that for the holidays is depressing for them, or they don't have a lot of people to talk to. So, hey, come hang out with us. You can join the conversation. That's, you know, you can talk in the comments, or if you just want to listen, you can listen. But, you know, if you're just feeling really lonely and you want to be a part of something, like, hey, come join the conversation. We could talk about anything. We could talk about your books. We could talk about drones. We could talk about COVID. Like, who knows where the conversation is going to go? Like,
yeah, I'm
down for whatever. Like, I don't, that's why I told you, I didn't say, hey, we got to talk about this, or people are asking me like, hey, what are we going to talk about? I'm like, I don't care, whatever you want, you know? So it's where the conversation, and that's why the people I'm inviting on the live stream are not people that I'm going to have a hard time having those conversations with, you know? It's like, it's not, there's some people that I could not do a live stream with because they would just have one word answers or whatever. But like you and I we can just chat and it's normal. So,
yeah. Well, I think you're creating community, which is important. Again, you can make an argument that there's enough of it out there, but I think it's an important thing.
Well, I think real community, that is something that's lacking. That is something, you know, like people used to go, I saw this thing and it was like a statistic of how people met, like for, I think for like relationships. And I think a lot of it, like it used to be in the 1950s or whatever, was all like through friends. It was like friends was number one, work, and then like church and like the neighborhood. And then it was like online was like online didn't exist. And then online started creeping up on the list. And then now online's like number one, and nobody meets through friends or neighbors or church or any of that. It's like, it's very rare, or even work, I think. Like, so yeah, I think that's something, I think just real life. That's what is lacking in America right now. Cause when I think of like our greatest time, like, I don't know, like it seems like a good time in America was like, you know, the 50s and the 60s. It seemed like people had families, like people were able to buy a house and a car, and like they were able to, like, seemed like people had their shit together more so than like now. There's just so much, you know, homelessness and drug addicts and just people, just unhappiness, just general like depression and shit. And I feel like that's because we've just gotten so disconnected. Yes, we're very connected in our social media in some regards, but in terms of, do people really feel like they have a place that they belong and they're a part of and that they can go to in real life, not online, like in real life? Like, do they have that? I don't know. Like, I don't even have, because I don't have like a real in life, in-person job that I go to. So like, you know, like I don't have that community probably. Like I don't have I mean, I have my girlfriend obviously, and like I have my family and my friends, and I have some very tight knit friends that I talk to and stuff. But I think for some people they have nothing. Like they don't have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and they don't have coworkers, and they're just living by themselves, or like maybe with a dog or something, and that's scary. I think that's where a lot of people downward spiral. So.
Yeah, I think you're right though, because I think the community has changed. You know, the advent of these devices, it's social media. I've talked about it on my podcast and on other interviews I've done. I was against I had Facebook years ago. We're talking probably 15 years ago. Got rid of it, and then when I wrote my first book in 2014 and started pitching it to agents in 15 and 16. that was the common question I got was, where's your website and your social media channels? And I'm like, it's for suckers. Why would I do that stuff? It's a waste of time. And, one of the agents I remember vividly, the reply to me was, when you got 10,000 Twitter followers, reach back out to me. I was like, what? So
that's the hardest one to build followers on. I feel like, I don't know why I cannot get followers on Twitter. That's interesting though, that they care.
It's changed a lot. It used to be easier to get followers, but what I found is, just because you get followers doesn't mean you've built a community of people that are following you and that are actually like seeing your posts and all that. And then
that's what, like, I don't know if Adika's still watching, but Adika and I talk about that all the time, because I have like 6,000 subscribers on YouTube. He's got like, I think he's getting close to 20. I think he's definitely over 10. And I think he's over 50. I think he's got like 17,000 or something, which are like 17,000 people that subscribe to your show. Yeah. But then it's like, if he posts a video of just, let's say he just posted a video of himself or something. He's like, hey, I'm Adika. Like it might get like 500 views. And you're like, wait a minute, you have 17,000 subscribers. Why is only 500 people watch? And sometimes it's even less than that. And for me, I know, like, I have 6,000. I've got 13 people watching this live stream right now. I mean, more people could go back and watch the rerun later, but I mean, you'd think with 6,000 subscribers, I'd have like 100 hardcore, people that will love everything I do. And I don't. I've got 13 people that are even watching this right now. But like, I mean, I'll post videos and it'll get like, sometimes I get like 50 views. I'm like, I don't. And again, I think it just goes to back to that saturation of so many podcasts, so many YouTube, so many TikToks. So even the shorts, like if I do a short video on YouTube and you're like, okay, who doesn't have 30 seconds to watch this video? And it's like, nope, next, what, it's like, and it's just, so it just makes me think like, okay, I'm spinning my wheels here. Like, I got to do something different, because this is just not cutting it. I mean, if I get to the point where people are asking for more podcasts, I can definitely deliver that. But right now I feel like people are saying, we don't need more podcasts from you. Like, that's the message I'm getting. Like, you do what? Like one a week?
Yeah. I release every Monday.
That's good. Yeah. I think I'm, cause I was trying to make mine like 2 or 3 and I might even go down less than one a week. I don't know. I think if it makes sense, like if it's someone that's a dream guest, because some of them are just for me. I'm like, I really want to have this interview. I don't know if we'll get views or not, but I really want to talk to this person or ask them questions. And there's other ones that I feel like, I feel like it's both. Like, I feel like I'm interested in this, but I feel like people will really like this. And so I don't know. It's just an interesting kind of place where I'm at right now. It's kind of, that's why I want to wrap up this year and have these conversations and talk about it, and hope maybe I can come up with some new insights to how I'm going to spend my 2025.
Well, so let me ask you this, because circling back to that, because I'd have to look at my YouTube and see how many channels I follow. I'm sure it's over 20, 30, 40. I'm not sure. But how many I actively like watch their content is probably only a handful. So
right.
How about you? How many do you actually actively watch?
In terms of YouTube, I don't even know how many I've subscribed, but like in terms of like let's just say Instagram, for example, I follow like, I don't know, 14 or 1,500 people, and they're all people I like, but I just don't have enough time to watch all their content. And so what does it do? Instagram always puts like, they put like tits and ass at the front of my news feed usually, or it's like, it's the most controversial, like crazy thing that people are saying, or like, the thing that people are arguing the most about, that's always at the top of the news feed. And it's like, it's rarely like, but the one thing I do like about Instagram, and I think Facebook and some of them do this, like, you can put like star, like favorites or whatever. Cause so if it's like my family member, it should rise. It's supposed to like rise to the top or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, cause I love Joe Rogan, but it's like, dude, I don't even have time to listen to every Joe Rogan episode. And
not at 3 or 4 hours Rogan. Top normally.
Yeah. And there's so many guys like that. I love Huberman. I love, our mutual, not really friend, but like, Jack Carr. I had Jack Carr on my show. I love Jack Carr. Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Adika was asking what your channel is about. I don't know how to describe. It's mostly authors that you're having on, right? Because you're an author. Yeah.
So my podcast is called The Tale of Two Scribes. It's under the Spear Talk Network. So John Guarnieri has the Spear Talk podcast, and he also has me under there, and then also
that's John. How we met. I had John on because he does security for Shinedown and Motley Crue, was former Secret Service, and he has a podcast. And he had Harry Turner on, who did a documentary and I wanted to have Harry on. And so I saw that John had Harry on. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to have John on and ask him about that interview because it was really interesting. And he did a good job. And then John gave me the contact and hooked me up. And then he hooked me up with you too. So yeah, he's a cool
and then
guy.
John and Eric Bass from Shinedown also do a show on Tuesdays, Taco Tuesdays, they call it.
Right. Have you had Eric Bass on your show?
No, I'll probably have him on. So he has an album coming out in February 28th. So I just got to connect with him. I was actually down at his house a couple weeks ago, a month ago or so ago. So I need to connect with him on a. I'd like
Can
to.
You get him for my podcast too? That's one I would definitely love to have on.
What's that? Say it again.
Did you get him on my podcast for me?
Can I ask him?
Okay. Yeah.
I know he does media for his album coming out and stuff. And then Shinedown, they're actually working on a new album now, Shinedown 8. So I think all the guys are coming in town this week to record some more stuff. Eric had said recently. So yeah,
I like Shinedown. They kind of sometimes get a bad rap with like Nickelback and stuff like that. But I like that. I like Nickelback too. Like I think they have some good songs. Like
they do.
I know people hate them or whatever. I mean, they're not like my all-time fan. I'm not like, oh my God, I'm a huge Nickelback fan, but like there's a couple songs that'll go on the radio. I'll crank it up. I mean, some of the overplayed radio songs though. I mean, even my favorite bands that have overplayed radio songs, I go, I can't listen to the song anymore. And I'll just change the channel. Yeah. But
yes, sir.
You got any concerts that you've got lined up in the future?
I have actually just recently picked up several. So my son won't see this, so he won't know. So his Christmas present is Billy Strings tickets in February. Billy's doing like 3 nights straight in Asheville, 2 weekends in a row. So we're going to I got general admission floor tickets for that. So Billy Strings is big into like bluegrass and sells everything out.
Good.
Yeah.
I like different kinds of music. That sounds fun.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. I've got him 4 tickets, but the deal is I'm going with him, so I don't want to miss out. I've never seen Billy Strings, so he can bring 2 friends or whatever.
How big is Billy Strings? Like what type of size venue is he do?
He's sold out Red Rocks. I know he sells out smaller arenas. Yeah, he's actually for bluegrass. He's like the biggest one, like 10 times what anyone else sells out.
That's cool. Adika's asking about.
He can play a lot besides bluegrass as well. So
Adika is asking about what do you think about Creed getting back together? My girlfriend and I were talking about this because I think it was her. I think I was talking to her about it, about how the singer, what's his name?
Scott Stapp.
Scott Stapp. Stapp, I think, right?
Stapp.
Yeah. That guy, didn't he have like a porno or something? Like he's had a wild life. He had like a porno. He did a bunch of drugs and shit. But aren't they like a Christian band? Is that why they kicked him out and now he's sober? So now they got back together. Is that what happened? Or
they definitely started with Christian influence, especially if you listen to the lyrics. There are a lot of Christian. Can you take
me higher? Like, isn't that about God or something? I thought. I mean, I don't think it was.
And then he turned it into drugs, unfortunately.
Maybe it was about. Maybe that's the problem. Oh, he had Adika saying he had a breakdown. Yeah, there's like a lot of drama with that guy, and then so that's why he was solo. Scott Stapp, and then it was Creed turned into Alter Bridge with Miles Kennedy, which is like. It's not a bad if you're going to replace, a singer.
Yeah, Miles Kennedy's solid. So yeah. Funny enough, I got tickets to Creed 2 days ago. So
you did?
The show's this not till summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. Is that through your Shinedown connection or someone or through John or
Ticketmaster? Through Ticketmaster.
Okay.
So. No, when it comes to that, I don't ask. The only tickets I get are Shinedown. I mean, any Shinedown show I want to go, I can just get backstage passes for because I know the band. But yeah, I don't get anything else through them. Like I don't ask John. John does, security for Motley Crue and other places, and I've never asked them for tickets for anything else.
Is that how you know the Shinedown guys is through John?
Through John, yeah. John had me on his podcast. He read my book.
Is that how you met him? Is he just was a fan of your book?
Yeah, and he invited me on his podcast, and in the course of coming on the podcast, he was telling me who we did security for, and Shinedown. I think I did his podcast in like March or April of 2022. Yeah, 2022. And he was just like, I said, I kind of saw something. I heard an advertisement. I said, Shinedown's coming to Greenville in May. He goes, yeah, you want to see a show? I get you backstage passes. I'm like, yeah, cool. So that's kind of started the connections.
Wow.
Pretty cool connections to have too. So yeah,
It is cool. Like I don't have a lot of that stuff, but I have a few that I've had those kind of connections, and it is I don't know, like it's in some ways I'm like, this is so fucking cool. And then there's also part of me that's like, it's like it's almost like I'm kind of too old to really appreciate it as much. Like I would have appreciated even, I mean, I appreciate it more. I appreciate it now, but I would appreciate it even more if I was like 15 when I was really into music. I
yeah,
mean, I would have like cut a finger off to meet some of these guys. And like, I was
right.
such a huge fan of all these bands. I mean, I had posters on my wall. Like I wanted to be a rock star. I had no musical talent, but I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to like be in the club and hang out with these guys. And
Yeah.
so to be able to meet them back, I mean, I remember the first time I met Slash, he came to Seattle with his solo band Slash's Snake Pit. And that was the first celebrity I ever met in my life. He walked backstage, or he was walking they did like a sound check, and we were all hanging out like behind the venue, and he walked to probably go back to the tour bus or something. He walked back and he walked right by me. I was like so frozen. I didn't know what to do. And then I ended up getting his autograph, and then I didn't get a picture like with him, but like the girl that we came with, she took a picture of me getting an autograph from him. So that was kind of cool. And then I met Gilby Clarke, who was the Guns N' Roses guitar player.
Yeah,
I actually did get an autograph, and we actually got a picture with him. He was really nice and really cool. But yeah,
those connections are amazing. They're still like the Shinedown one. I've interacted enough now that it's not old hat. I texted Barry today, so I definitely have those active connections with them, which is kind of a surreal thing. You get used to it in a way, but then you also go, this is cool to have. Like, my son and I were down at Eric's house, I said about a month ago or so, and we were just in the studio. He was playing stuff for us, what he was working on with his solo album, which we actually heard, I don't know, a year ago, first time. So like a half dozen or a dozen people had heard his solo album, and we got to hear it. And we're hearing it in the studio with him. He plays the whole thing cover to cover. It was one of those moments where you're just like, this is wild. So
that is cool.
Fast forward to last month, we were back at his house. I had a birthday present for him that I wanted to physically deliver. I didn't want to just mail, and it's a little bit of a drive, but drove down for a day there and back. And so again, we're seeing him work on his videos, because he's making his own videos for his album and stuff that's coming out on February 28th. And we're talking, hanging out for a little while, and he's just like, "You want to hear New Shinedown?" And we're like, "Hell yes, we do." So he played all the tracks that they've created so far. And, it's one of those moments where you're pinching yourself. Like, this is cool. It is
very cool.
Diehard fans of theirs that have been following them for 20 years, probably bitter if they hear that story, because they're like, what the hell? How do you get this intimate connection behind the scenes? But that's also part of life, that you have to just kind of accept that you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what interactions you might have. And if you have them, man, just be blessed and enjoy those things.
That's what I'm trying to get. Like you said earlier, with the being positive and half full and instead of half empty. Like I'm just trying to be grateful for any of that stuff too, but also just, I'm trying to be more grateful of just like the regular normal people in my life. Like those are the people that really matter, like your friends and your family, and like trying to be more appreciative of them. And it's like, like I went home for Thanksgiving. I don't usually go home for Thanksgiving. Cause I don't know. For whatever reason, I just don't really think it's that big of a deal of a
Where's
holiday.
home?
Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, and I think that's the other thing is like going to Seattle in November, late November, is like not usually the most fun coming, especially from Phoenix, where it's like beautiful and like sunny, and it's like the best time to be in Phoenix, and then go to Seattle where it's like, but it was actually, I really appreciated it more. I went back and like, I appreciate the weather, but just really appreciate hanging out with my family. Like, I don't know, my family's like really funny. Like I actually do really like them. Like, I think sometimes they don't necessarily like love me, or I'm not like the top priority, like they all have their kids and stuff like that. So, and I understand that's going to be top priority. So I'm just like trying to be real appreciative. Like, oh, it's like really nice be able to hang out with my brother and my sister and my parents and their kids, my nieces and nephews. I'm like, and they're all so awesome. Like I love them all. They're all so great. And, there's a few less close family members, uncles and cousins that I'm not like huge fan of, but ultimately like just anybody in my life, I'm trying to be more grateful towards, but also in some ways, like I think my circle is getting smaller, like, I don't know if you've noticed that as the older you get, like there's some friends that you're just like, the friendship just has kind of like, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's my fault or their fault, or like, the friendship kind of dies
It ran
off.
its course, probably.
What?
It ran its course, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. It's like, I'd like to think that I just want to at least be cool with everyone. I don't like having like people that hate me, because I don't hate anyone. Even the people that hate me, they might think that I hate them. I don't hate anyone. Like I said, there's some cousins and some, maybe some family members I don't like love being around, but I don't hate any. I don't like wish bad things on people and stuff. It's weird when somebody wishes stuff like that, or it appears that they feel that way towards you. You're like, damn, like, what did I do? Like, am I that bad? Do you have any people like, because you have an ex-wife, right?
Yep.
One?
Yep.
Only one marriage?
Oh, one and only. I don't think I'm going down that path again. So
like, are you amicable with your ex-wife then?
We talk when we need to. Yes.
Okay. I mean, because how old are your kids? They're not grown, right? Are they?
My son's almost 18 and my daughter's 13. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So you still have like shared custody, and I mean, you kind of have to, like, that's my good buddy here. He was married and they just had one kid, but and now she is, God, what is she, like 23 or something? So like they haven't had to communicate for like 5 years. But I mean, I think even still, like if she gets married, they're both going to be at the wedding and stuff. So it's like, you're kind of like, you never completely get rid of that person.
There's always a tie there if you have kids. Yeah. For in my situation, if we didn't have kids, I don't know that we would have gone through what we went through. I don't know. I mean, you can't change the past, so it's hard to even quantify that. But if there weren't kids in the picture, would we have a relationship or a cordial relationship? No, we would have existed in the past together. But obviously we have with kids together. So I was going to mention how you were talking family for Thanksgiving. So that's kind of one of the things that changed for me. Let's see, my divorce, I think we separated in 99 and divorced. Took a while to get everything legally, all that horrible experience. Everything was official in 21. So the last couple things. So every other Thanksgiving, I have the kids 1 year and I don't have them the next year. So it's like a full week without having them. So what do you
do on the Thanksgivings when you don't have your kids?
So I made a deal with myself. Good question. So I made a deal with myself years ago and said, okay, I have a great family. I have great friends. They don't want me to be alone for holidays. I don't want to go sit in a family member's house or even a friend's house here 20 minutes from where my kids are and know that I'm not going to see my kids for a week. So my deal I made with myself years back was every year I don't have my kids for Thanksgiving, I A, leave the country, and B, on Thanksgiving Day, I'm in a country I've never been to. So
wow, that's a fucking awesome rule to make if you can afford it.
To make.
Yeah.
So wow. 2 years ago, I was in Cardiff, Wales on Thanksgiving Day. I was actually going to see Shinedown, and John and Barry and I were out at an Italian restaurant on Thanksgiving night having dinner.
That's fucking awesome. That's a pretty awesome Thanksgiving. If you can't be with your kids, I mean, that's like
great.
The second best, I guess.
So this year rolled around, 2 years passed, and this year rolled around that was having this again. So I was proactive about this. Earlier this year, my mom had never left. She'd never gone over to Europe. She had been in Canada and the Bahamas, but mainly around where she lived for most of her life. Some travel up and down the East Coast, but not a lot of exotic travel. So I reached out to her earlier this year and I said, hey, Mama, I wanted the kids this Thanksgiving. And I think her motherly heart kicked in of like, oh, are you coming home for Thanksgiving? And I'm like, hell no, I'm not coming home. We're going to Ireland for Thanksgiving. I'm taking you. Wow. So that's what we ended up doing. We ended up actually flying over to London, went up to Edinburgh, Scotland for a day and a half, and then we went to Dublin for the rest of the week. So Thanksgiving Day this year, I was at the Guinness storehouse learning how to pour a Guinness before I went out to an Irish pub and had my Thanksgiving dinner, which was not turkey.
I'm trying to remember if I saw it. Did you post about this on social media? I'm trying to remember if I saw it.
I posted every day pictures of the trip, on Facebook. So
okay, I do. I think I vaguely remember that. Then I'll have to go back and look at that again. Yeah, because sometimes you just kind of go through and you like people's stuff, and you're not really like
Oh yeah.
realizing what's going, like, oh, this is Eric, and like he's, okay, that now it makes a lot more sense. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
So it was
That's a
fun.
great rule. Yeah, see, that was my
Yeah,
thing. Like
just
when I moved to Phoenix, I was like, I never really liked Thanksgiving. I don't like turkey, and so like I made up this own tradition. It wasn't as cool as yours going out of the country, but I would go to Vegas, and I would go because it's like a 4 or 5 hour drive from Phoenix. And
yeah.
the cool thing about going to Vegas during Thanksgiving is, first of all, everything is still open, right? All the restaurants, all the bars, the
Yeah,
casinos, of
nothing
course,
closes.
all the shows are still going on.
Right.
And it's not, there's people there, so you're not like, it's not like a ghost town, but it's not super crowded, so you can get
Right.
into your restaurant that you want to go to, you can get into the show, you can get good deals on tickets, and
Yep.
so it's like really fun. Like I would, and then
Yep.
like I would always watch football, and then this is too, like before you could bet in Phoenix. Now you can bet on the apps or whatever, but like I'd go to Vegas, and it was an exciting thing to be able to bet on football. I'd bet on all the games, I'd watch all the football, and I'd be like at a sports bar, and I'd be like, I'd have the game on that I'd bet on, and I'd be playing like blackjack, video poker or something, and eating like pizza and having a beer, and I'm like, this is fucking the greatest Thanksgiving ever. This is great. Like, it's so, but now I also try to, like, I should probably like appreciate family and all that on Thanksgiving. It's not that I didn't appreciate family, but I never really was like, oh, Thanksgiving needs to be about this. Like I made my own tradition, just like your thing. So yeah, I think that's cool though. That's going out of the country. It's amazing.
And the cool thing about going to a different country like that is that it's not Thanksgiving there. So it's not a holiday. It's not. Yeah, you're not dealing with
thinking about it, because otherwise you're thinking about, oh, my kids, and now you're like, oh, I'm like totally out of that zone, and you're just forget that it's Thanksgiving. That's very smart.
So I don't know where I'll be in 2 years. So I'll have 2 years, one of my kids again for that one. The problem that year though is it's right before I turn 50. And I've already decided I want like an epic trip, and I've got a couple friends that have already committed to going. We're going to go to Australia and New Zealand for a couple weeks, but not Thanksgiving. It'll be earlier than Thanksgiving. So I'll have to somehow figure a way to count my pesos and flip a trip somewhere for at least a couple days on Thanksgiving that year as well.
Yeah, what's the closest? Would it be Canada for you? Because like for me, like Mexico is like I was thinking about doing Rocky Point on Christmas this year, because like we're doing my girlfriend's family thing Christmas Eve, so we want to go to Mexico for Christmas. We're thinking just driving down. It's like 3 or 4 hours to Rocky Point. But so what would be the closest thing to you? Canada, or is like, or what would be
to Canada though? It's got to be a country I haven't been to.
Right? Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to be creative. I don't know. I'll be thinking.
Maybe you'll think of you'll flip the tradition and do something different. But yeah, hopefully.
No, not yet. I got to do it for a while before I flip the tradition. No.
Did you go like what? Because if you're on the East Coast, so then like, but I'm assuming you've been to like Bahamas and all that stuff.
But there's a lot of islands in the Bahamas, different countries that I haven't been to.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
I could probably get away with flying to an island for a few days. I'm not a big island person though. I mean, I like them. I like Hawaii's beautiful, Caribbean's beautiful, but I like more exploring, and I like just like culture. And I mean, I love Europe, but I've been to a bunch of Europe countries now. So I've never been to Spain. Maybe I'll fly to Spain for a few days.
I've heard Spain is very fun.
I've heard that as well.
Fun place. My buddy, he lived there, I think, for like a few years. And I mean, there's a lot of people that if you ask them, like if they've been to Europe and they've been to all, like Spain, Germany, and all those countries, they always, a lot of people say Spain is their favorite.
Yes,
which is interesting to me. I would think, having never been to Europe, I would think that Italy would be my favorite, just because of the history and the food and the people, and I mean all that stuff. It seems like that would be my favorite, but I've never been there. Oh, my brother's commenting.
There you
go. Japan. He loves Japan. They went to Japan last. I think it was. Wait, was it last? No, was it on his birthday? Now I'm confused. I think it was.
He could probably comment and tell you when he went.
Yeah, tell me. Wasn't it? I think it was his 40th birthday, and he took his wife and kid, and they went to the Disney, because they were going to go to Disneyland, but then they're like, oh, it's actually cheaper to go to Disneyland in Japan from Seattle, where they live. It's a cheaper flight, or with the hotel and all that stuff, because California is like, it's crazy expensive.
Yeah,
and he was raving about Japan, how like clean it was, and the food was really. So you've been to Japan though?
I have not. I've not been to Asia. It's on my list.
So That would be one. I mean, it might be a little far, but that's a bucket list. I want to go too because it's sounds like amazing. And I've heard that from multiple people that the food is really good and it's very clean. The people are very respectful and like there's like no homelessness or like what we were talking about earlier, like that here where I really worry about everybody. They don't have that issue over there. It's like what's really fascinating to me. Like, can we copy what they're doing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, how do we solve? That'd be a nice way to solve the problem here.
Well, saw a lot of it overseas. Saw a lot of it in London and Dublin. Actually,
right
so yeah, people just sleeping on the side of the roads or
in
on
Dublin
the side
too.
of the streets. What's that?
In Dublin, you said the homeless thing is still
Dublin and London. Yeah, I didn't see it in Edinburgh and Scotland as
I heard
much.
Paris too is really gotten bad.
Yeah,
which is sad because that's another one that I think I've never been there, but I would think that I would really like Paris. Just like I know this is kind of like this is my only comparison is going to the Paris Hotel in Vegas. I love that. Like it's just there's something to vibe in there.
It's very similar.
Oh, is it okay? Because I love the vibe in that hotel. I know it's all fake and everything, but I don't know. It's like a cool vibe. Like I think of the real thing would be so amazing. The same with Italy. They have that. There's a casino in Vegas that's like an Italy themed and it's kind of cheesy like that too. But yeah, I got to go to Europe. I've only been to
the Venetian,
Canada,
right?
Venetian. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's another one next to it. It's like the same
Palazzo.
like, yeah. I think one time I like pulled the trigger and was like, I'm going to splurge and get like a really good room. And I think we did. I think it was Palazzo.
Yeah.
And we had this big room and it had like different levels. And so I was like, whoa, this is like crazy. And it's not even that much. Like you can splurge in Vegas and get like a really nice room, or at least it would be like, you could get a room for like 300 a night. That was like almost like a suite in Vegas. And now it's like, I feel like 300's like you're getting a room at like Circus or something, or, it's like the prices of, but back in 2008, when I moved here from Seattle to Phoenix, they were begging people to go to Vegas. Like they would like basically give the room away because nobody had money to go to Vegas in 2008 when all the markets crashed and all that stuff. It was crazy. Yeah. We need another market crash.
I took my son last November to see U2 at the Sphere. And we stayed at the Luxor. It was like $750 for like 3 nights at the Luxor. It was fine. It wasn't a dirty hotel. I've heard bad things about it. We had a good experience there, but it was just crazy.
I went there. Yeah, we went there. My dad actually, I think it was the first time I ever went to Vegas. My dad took us and we stayed at the Luxor like when it first opened. When it opened in the 90s, right? I feel like it was
so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like shortly after it had opened. And I mean, when you're a kid and you're like 14 or 15 or whatever I was, like it was pretty cool. Like I was like, whoa, this is like a pyramid and it was really amazing. But yeah, then I went back years later for like a bachelor party and me and my buddy, I think we stayed in one of the towers and it was like, it was so bad that he like wrote them a letter or something or an email. And then he got like a credit and got like a free room and didn't let me, he took his wife. I was like, fucking asshole. Like I should have I had to suffer with you but yeah, no, that's good that what you didn't have a bad, I don't think there's a bad, I mean, I joke circus, but I feel like even circus wouldn't be that bad. I mean, if you gotta like, watch the dollars a little bit, it's still Vegas. You're still on the strip. It's fun.
Yeah. I need to go back. I was trying to go back this year. It just didn't work out. So hopefully go with some friends next year. I was going to circle back to the concert thing. So the Creed tickets I got right before the Creed tickets, I got Metallica tickets. And then right before Metallica tickets, I got AC/DC. So
I just had
Powerhouse is coming.
I just had Jim Florentine on my podcast, and he's like a big AC/DC fan. I asked him, I was like, "Are you excited? Because like you're one of the biggest AC/DC fans I know." And he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna see it for sure." And I said, "Do you think they'll still sound good?" He's like, "Well, they're not gonna sound, as good as they did in the 70s and 80s." But he said that he saw them pretty recently. I think within the last year or 2 or 3 or something. He said they still sounded pretty good. So I saw him in 95, I think, on the Ball Breaker tour. And which is crazy because I felt like even then I was like, oh, they're kind of old now. And it's like, that was like 30 years ago, but they sounded great. And so, I mean, I don't need to see them again, but I might. Was it expensive for those tickets? Because I know Aerosmith, the cheap seats were like $400 or $500. And I was like, I don't think I could drop $1,000 for 2 tickets to Aerosmith.
I want to say they were about $200 a ticket, if I recall. I think about 2.
Good seats or cheap seats or? Medium.
mediocre
Okay.
seats.
So if you
Close
wanted like a
seats.
nosebleed, you could get it for like maybe 60 or 70.
Yeah, I think the cheapest was 85 for the
Oh, that's
high
not too
ups.
bad.
So I
Yeah.
got like a more of a middle of the road. Close to stage was like 750 to 1,000 a ticket. So
See, to me, I'm kind of like, I'm almost at the well, I feel like it's you either got to just pull the trigger, and if you're not the first 30 rows, I feel like it's almost like you might as well get a nosebleed because you're going to end up watching the big
the
screen the whole
screen,
time, anyways.
you're right.
Because I did that one time. I bought tickets to Paul McCartney and I splurged and I was like, okay, it's Paul McCartney. I'm gonna splurge a little, and I think I spent like, but I got like a middle, like medium kind of, wasn't nosebleed, but I was like, I can't afford front row to Paul McCartney. Like that's a lot. So, but then I was like, I just remember thinking like when I watched the concert, I was like, maybe I should have just got a cheaper ticket because I ended up watching the screen the whole time. So
Yeah.
if you're watching the screen the whole time, and you can hear the same, what's the difference? I mean, I don't know if you want to be like the top of the nosebleed, but like, I mean, in that cheaper section, it's like, I don't know, that's where I kind of, especially sporting events too. I feel like it's the same thing. If you're just going to
Yeah.
watch the Jumbotron, I want to be in the action,
Right.
for sporting events, especially. I want to be in the front. Like I want to be able to be watching it on the field and not the Jumbotron if I can.
I took my son to see Rolling Stones. What was that? 2021, 21 or 22? I think it was 21.
I heard
And
they were really good in that concert.
it was a great show. I'd never seen it before. We were
I've
We
never
were
seen
Bank of
it.
America Stadium where the Panthers play, and we were second row from the top, so almost as far back as you could get. And
Yeah.
the sound was great. And I mean, they had these
There you
screens. They had
go.
4 screens.
Yeah.
These screens were like 50 plus feet tall.
There
So
you go.
Mick looked big. But if you tried to not look at the screen and see Mick strutting down the stage, it was this little Lego figure going down the stage, basically. So
that goes back to like, it almost like spoils you when you have a connection and you have the really good front, first 10 rows. Or have you ever watched a show Side Stage? Like I've done that a couple times. That's crazy. And it's just, it kind of ruins you though, because then you're like, oh, okay, and then you're back in the nosebleeds and you're like, oh, now I'm like one of the peasants again. Damn it. And like you're watching the Jumbotron, but it's still, I think you still have a good time. And just goes back to that, like being grateful. Like for when I get a good seat, I'm very grateful. But even being the nosebleeds, it's still, you're still at the concert, you still get to go. And I think it's usually not that bad. You can still hear it okay. And as long as you can see if they didn't have the Jumbotrons, then it would be like, what is even the point? But when they got the Jumbotron, it's like, hey, I can see everything. What's the difference?
You still got the vibe, so I still am willing to go because the Shinedown tickets in a way ruined some parts of the experience, because I mean I've been now to so many of their shows, and I've been on side stage because anytime they get to Simple Man, Brent sings it obviously and Zach does guitar. Well, Barry and Eric will come off stage. So there's been a couple times that Simple Man comes on that Eric will come over, put his arm around me, and we're just watching Brent and Zach up there playing, and you're like, this is kind of a weird, kind of one of those surreal experiences.
Yeah.
And then the next concert I go to, I'm like
in the nosebleed
in the 300 sections where I'm looking on the screen and I'm like, this is a little hard to adjust back to.
I know, right? Yeah. You got to just be
spoiled.
grateful. Yeah. And especially some sporting events, like sometimes like, because I'm a fan of like my college team, like I love the Cougars, and like I can get pretty good seats for pretty cheap to a Cougar game. But like NFL, like my Seahawks, like it's kind of harder to, like this year, they always go to the game where they play in Arizona against the Cardinals, and sometimes it's been like really cheap. Last year I got front, like I think we were first or second row, and it wasn't that expensive. I think it was like $150 a ticket or something. But this year I think I paid more than I paid last year, and we were like 30 or 40 rows back or something. And I was like, damn it. Like it's cool to be at the game. And especially for football, like in sporting events, I feel like the atmosphere to be there is so much different than watching it on TV.
Yep.
So
yeah, live sports and that kind of stuff, to be there. Part of it is everyone around you getting into the game.
Oh yeah. And I'm the person that's getting everybody riled up. We went to my nephew actually goes to San Diego State, and I was like, I want to go. That was a road game for the Cougars that I had on my bucket list. And I was like, so I got to hang out with him. And then we went to the game, and that was actually a really good game. And we had really good seats, and we were on TV. Our seats were so good. We were on TV, and it was like, they made a comeback. And it was like, I love when that happens. Like when your team is like has an epic game, a comeback of some sort, a last minute win, and it's so dramatic. And the energy of that is so. I mean, it's completely opposite when your team blows it, and then that's like a terrible. That's the difference between sports and music. I feel like music, it's always going to be a positive. It should be a positive experience, but with sports, it can be very deflating if your team loses. It's like it's really depressing. You're like, oh shit. But if they win, oh man, that is a good feeling to have. That is fun.
Yeah. No, I've been to a lot of concerts the last couple of years, and there's trying to think of which ones have fallen flat. I think the ones that kind of fallen flat are people that I wasn't just big fans of anyways. I just went because I wanted to see a live show.
Okay.
But I did go like one that was really great. There's a couple were really great this year. I saw Sammy Hagar do the Best of Both Worlds, which was, Van Halen, all Van Halen set pretty much.
I would see that. I've never seen him live. Oh, I saw him with Van Halen actually once. That's the only time I've seen him.
Oh, see, I had never seen Van Halen. So I saw that, took my son to see that back in July. That was great. I went and saw, I think it's September, I saw Bush, but it was Bush and Candlebox opened for it, Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains, and then Bush came on. Those three together, man, it was like blistering. And I'm a huge Candlebox fan.
I was trying to get both Bush and Jerry Cantrell on my podcast. I felt like I think Bush, I don't know if they ever responded. The Jerry Cantrell, like I feel like I've been really close, but I never was able to get. I had Candlebox. I had the singer from Candlebox. He was really cool. That was actually a fun interview. He had some really interesting insights of the Seattle music scene because, like I knew a lot of the smaller bands and stuff. And so I was asking him about that. And like, obviously like he said he was like friends with Lane Staley, which I was like, I didn't know.
Kevin Martin. Yeah. He grew up, he was in that whole,
Oh, cool. He said Lane Staley was had a really good sense of humor and stuff. And it's like, it's so crazy. All these people love Lane Staley, but then he died like alone.
Like in his apartment, overdosed or whatever.
And nobody even knew, like, it's so
weeks,
crazy. Like,
or whatever.
Huh?
I think he had been dead for a couple weeks or so, hadn't he? Or
was it weeks? Okay. Yeah, I know it was at least
days. But...
Yeah, it was at least days that like no one had. And you're just like, how could that, like all these people that loved him so much, like maybe they were trying to check in on him or.
Right.
Then you also wonder, like, do people like, oh, he's like so famous, you want to leave him alone kind of thing? Or, like, I don't know. I guess people kind of, when they withdraw, they kind of send that out into the world. And so you just kind of leave them alone. And but you kind of have to like advocate for yourself and get out there. And like, I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, like I'd get kind of sad and I'd be like, oh, like, I don't have any friends. And then like, I don't have as many friends as my sister. And my dad was like, your sister has friends because she's like on the phone and she's calling them. And she's like, if one friend's like, oh, I can't hang out, she's like, okay, she'll call the next one. And like, because my sister had she had the greatest social life, and you're just like, oh my god, my sister's like, she's so popular, and she is, I'm sure. But part of that too was like she was out there, like
she was outgoing,
she was a go-getter. She was like, like calling people, like planning things, and like she was making it happen. And so I think that is something that's lacking. Going back to our earlier thing about people just not being connected, I feel like people don't do that. They're not reaching out as much. So that's kind of another goal with this live stream. I'm like, hey, here's a chance. If you're feeling lonely or whatever, like reach out, like, come and talk. Let's all get together, send some love into the world. There's 19 people watching this, which is crazy to me. I did not think I would even get like 5 on a Saturday night with no notice or whatever. I was like, I'm just going to go live. Let's see who chimes in. And no, not getting a lot of comments, but supposedly 19 people are watching this. So
that's okay.
Yeah. And they can watch the rerun too, which is kind of cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Several years ago, so my ex had put my kids in school out where I live now. And so I moved out here because I was driving so many hours a day every time I had custody. Or
where did you used to live?
Small town still, but about 45 minutes away from where I am now.
Oh, okay.
So I was driving that distance, like to school in the morning, back home, because I worked from home, and I worked from home for years, and then back to get them in the afternoon. So I was driving like 2.5 hours a day. Insane amount of driving.
Yeah.
So
you could listen to a lot of podcasts though.
Yeah, I listened to the radio and did stuff. But so I ended up buying a house out here once everything settled with the divorce and all that. Well, now they don't go to school here. So I've been out here now for several years, 3 years, I guess now. And all my friends are all back that way. So that's
Oh
one thing I've
shit.
definitely noticed is people aren't as eager to go drive 45 minutes to come see me.
Right.
I have to do more of the driving a lot of times.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
is, it is hard too. Like I will say, even if you try to reach out to people, I feel like it's hard to get people to do things. Like back in
very
the
much.
day, everybody went out and did things because there was no online or like social media, or like there wasn't like a million streaming services. Like you had like 5 channels, and like if there was nothing good on, people got the fuck out of their house and they went and
Yeah.
did stuff. And now it's like pulling teeth to try to get people to go out and, hey, you want to go out to dinner? You want to go do this? You want to go to a movie? You want to? Yeah, I feel like you have to plan things with like my
Mhm.
friends and stuff. Like, we just hung out with my friends at the Seahawks game, and it was really fun. We had a tailgate, and it was so fun. But I'm like, we should hang out more often. Like, why don't we
Yeah.
hang out more? But you're right. Like, even you say 45 minutes, but I mean, some of my friends live like 20 minutes away, and I see them like once a month or something. And it's like,
Right.
why don't I feel like people need to hang out more? And
Yeah.
um,
Well, you get busy because I'm in the same situation. You get busy, and then your free time doesn't coincide with
right,
2 out of 3 of the other friends' free times,
sure.
and so
Adult
families.
friendships, man, it's a pain in the ass.
It can be challenging, that's for sure. And I've been the one too. I was the first, like, I guess only in my, well, another one did get divorced after me, but I was the first one to like all of a sudden be single. So I'd want to hang out with
Um,
people, and then I'd have to, remember, well, half my time is free now. I can do whatever I want in the evenings. They don't have that. They have a family that expects them to come back, and they can get away, but they don't have as much free time as I have. So
right,
that was a hard mental transition for me to make, of going like, okay, I'm free half the time, but that doesn't mean everybody I know is free half the time.
right. So
So,
yeah, then it's almost like you have to find some new single friends, right? Like,
which I really didn't ever do. I've got one other friend that's single, and we get together less frequently than my married friends, I think. So
wow.
yeah, it
How
is
do you
what it is.
that's the weirdest thing now is like, how do you find friends? Like I get how people find someone to date or hook up with, or because they got the apps for that, like Tinder and all this shit. But like, how do people find, like, let's say you move to a new town and you don't know anybody and you want to make some friends in the new town? Like, is there an app for that? Is there an app like Friend Finder? Is that a thing? Or is that or Friendster or whatever? Like there, it's kind of awkward to like
Yeah,
set up a friend date. I don't know. Like it's,
there is an app called Meetup. I haven't used. I
oh, okay.
went to go use it when I was first single. It'll have things where people are meeting together as a group or small group to do something, hike or bike, or
Yeah.
yeah, there is
I
an
think
app. I
I
don't know if it's
know.
still
Yeah.
used, but
I feel like one of my female friends did something like that. And then, but then she, she was joking. I think she's like, yeah, I can't go to my hiking group anymore. I've slept with all the people in the group. I thought that was
went
funny.
through the cycle. So
Yeah. It's like being a girl must be fun. Like being a single girl, like that, is like even just moderately attractive. It'd be kind of a fun life, I think, just to be able to, like, I feel like if I was a girl, I'd be very slutty, which is, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I just think that it'd be fun to be like a slut, wouldn't it? Like, I don't know. Is that bad to say? I don't know. It's terrible. I shouldn't say that, but
I'm sure there's advantages to it. There could be a
I
couple
mean, I think
drawbacks as well. So
I would have at least gone through a slut phase at some point if I was a girl, like in my younger years. Like, I mean,
mhm.
I think men do that too, but it's like, we don't usually succeed at as much as that, like if you're a moderately attractive girl, like you could sleep with a lot of men very quickly. Whereas like, even if you're just like an average looking guy, like it's hard to get a girl, like, you know what I mean? Like girls don't just have sex with you. So, oh, my brother
Well,
was asking about I don't even know what this means. What is the Creed PRO called? What? Is that a typo?
I think he's asked about the porno.
Oh, the
The
Creed.
brother wants
Yeah.
to look at the Creed porno.
Well, I'm sure there's got to be some sort of like double entendre there, because that's how like pornos always are named, right? Like there's got to be like Scott Stapp uh put his stap in some girl. I don't know. Like there's got to be some sort of play on words there for like what are the Creed hits, like higher? What are the other ones, like higher?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. There's probably some sort of funny, but I don't know. I think he
One
actually
last
got it.
breath. Last Breath or something was one of them too. So
One Last Jizz, or I don't know. Like, yeah, he's probably. I think that they never released it. I think he stopped the release of it or something. Supposedly, I don't know. I never Googled it, so I don't
yeah, I
know.
don't. You saying that rings a bell, but I do not
Yeah.
like. Nothing comes to mind of whatever happened or yeah.
Yeah.
I think he's an example of one of those people that gets the fame, probably gets what he wants, and then realizes, what, it's not all cracked up to be. It's you get the fame, you get the women, you get the money, and I think what they find is it's an empty existence. All that excess does not make them happy. It makes them want more, and the more just doesn't satisfy.
Yeah, that's some people. That's what I hear. It's like this thing it's never enough. Like they're always just chasing this thing, and I mean, I guess that's probably true for in a lot of different kinds of people, not just entertainers or whatever. Like, I mean, you look at some of these like billionaires, you're like they're still working, and maybe they enjoy it or whatever. But you're just like,
Yeah.
I mean, for me, if I have $1 billion, like I'm done, I'm retiring. Like, but then you think like, well, what does that mean, retiring? Like, wouldn't you want to do something with the like money? Maybe you want to put on concerts, or you want to
Right.
put on events, or you want to produce movies, or like you want to do something with the money you have. You want to spend it in a way is really work. So maybe that's, I don't know. Like, I mean, like you got Elon Musk, the guy's like got he's doing Twitter and he's making rockets and making cars and doing all sorts of stuff. So he could just retire and be good, but he wants to do all these projects. So some people just have, and that's probably why they get rich in the first place. Like people like me just want to sit on the couch and watch TV, don't turn into billionaires. So that's probably why.
Well, I think you need to find a way to fulfill yourself. So if
Right.
you quit your job, if it's kind of like people that win Powerball or win a lottery. They go from being most of the time it's lower end, but even if it's a middle class lifestyle, to all of a sudden you can just have anything you want whenever you want it. People go, I think the stat is something like within 4 years, most Powerball or lottery winners are broke because, they just go to excess and like, hey, mom, dad, you're getting a house, brother, sister, friend. There's a great documentary that I suggest people watch called Broke. And it's actually about Andre Rison, who was with the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh yeah, I remember him. He was really good. And then he was dating the girl from TLC, and she burned his house down.
Yeah, burned his house down. Well, he goes into what like a lot of the stuff that happened, and I remember one of the parts of, and I haven't seen it in several years. I need to watch it again.
I never watched that. That sounds amazing.
But he had like an entourage of like 50 guys. So every time he went away for a weekend, there was like, I don't know, 25 or 50 other people that were going. He didn't even know all their names, so he had to pay for hotel rooms for all these people, pay for all the meals. And he said people would come up to him and be like, Andre, we went to third grade together. My name's whatever, Jeremiah. I'm trying to start my own barbershop business. And he'd tell his money man, give him $30,000. Boom, write him a check for $30,000. Never see the person again. So just like the ways you can take $100 million contract in earnings.
So is he still broke then?
He filed bankruptcy at one point. I don't know if he's rebounded since then. It's been several years since that was even done.
But I think one of the things that's good about NFL players, though, I don't know if I think this is accurate. This might be disinformation. I know I'm going to get banned. But I thought that if you retire, if you have at least 3 years in the NFL, you can collect NFL retirement, which I believe is like $500,000 a year for the rest of your life.
I don't know how much it is, but I know they have a retirement.
It's like a lot. It's like 500 grand or 400 grand a year or something. So like, unless you're, I mean, you'd at least be able to survive, like live pretty comfortably, I would think. But I don't know if that's accurate. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's only for a couple of years. Or my brother was commenting. What did he say? It's weird when you have to see people you work with 40 hours a week. Wait, that is so weird. Like, I remember I was working in the schools and I was seeing these people, and I'm like, dude, I see these people 40 hours a week. I don't see my own family like hardly at all because they're in a different state. And I was like, this is so wrong. Like this. And then I thought maybe I shouldn't live in Arizona. Maybe I shouldn't live in a different state than my family. Maybe I started to question that. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just, you got to try to figure out what works for some people. They really like that work family. Like some people really like, it's like my girlfriend, when COVID happened and she could work remotely, she was like, oh, thank God. Like, she's like, I could work remote. This is amazing. She was so happy. She was going to work in her pajamas and like, She was like living in the life. She was, and now then they made her go back. She's like, oh fuck, I don't want to go back to work. But
I don't
I feel
want to
like
see these people again.
some people really like that work family. Like I never liked work families. I mean, I guess when I was like in high school, like, and you're working with a bunch of other teenagers and you're all the same age and you're all a bunch of jack-offs and you're working at like a restaurant and you're just joking. And that's different. When I work at the schools and stuff, and I was working with mostly more women that were older than me that had kids and stuff, and I didn't have as much in common with them. They were nice people, but I didn't have as much in common to like spend 40 hours a week with them. And it didn't feel like, you know, it felt like different, you know, it's like not the same as like working with the same people that are the same age as you and stuff. So, and then, yeah, like more than your family, it's like, I don't know, it's kind of depressing.
Yeah. I've telecommuted for so long now. It's not.
You telecommute too?
17 years now.
Okay. 100% of the time you don't have to go in at all?
The only time I have to go in an office, I fly to California. So.
Oh, how often is that?
Used to be somewhat regular. Now it's like once a year, twice a year.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Yeah, my sister works, I mean, she doesn't work for Microsoft. She contracts with them or something. But I think, yeah, she has a thing where I think she mostly works from home. I think she has to go in one day a week or something. There's a lot of people that are like kind of hybrid like that, where they go in one day a week.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. That's not too bad. But wow, 17 years and you don't have to. So then 40 hours a week, you're just at home by yourself.
Yeah. Well, unless my kids are here for a couple of the days or whatever.
Okay.
Part of the days, but yeah, no. And I'm not. It was a big adjustment for me because I'm a people person. I didn't enjoy being in an office, but I enjoyed being around coworkers. Some of them were jerks.
So half the time you're living alone because if your kids aren't there, you don't have a girlfriend or wife anymore. So then that's a lot of alone time, though.
Yeah, which was again a big. The first 6 months when I separated, that was that first month was the hardest time of my life, and it wasn't so much for the relationship because that had been over, and so that was a relief that stress wasn't going on in a way. All the court stuff kicked in quick, so that added the layer of stress. But I didn't see my kids anymore to say goodnight to them half the time. It was actually at that time it was a lot more than half too. It was probably like, I think I had them like 12 days a month. So, 18 nights a month, I didn't see my kids hardly at all.
Damn.
That was really, really hard. And it took a while to like mentally adjust to that. And you adjust to anything. What I ended up doing, which was very helpful for me, is my writing. So when I don't have my kids, I don't really write much or do anything writing wise. So when I have my kids, I don't do any writing. When I don't have them is when I kind of do my catch up of work on books, work on marketing. So that's why I'm alone.
That's good that you're being. See, and I feel like that's what more people need. Something like that, like, because other people would just go, you know what? Like, I'm by myself. I'm lonely. I'm depressed. Like, all right, I'm gonna do fentanyl or whatever. Like, even just booze could fuck you up if you're just by yourself, and that's like your coping. So your coping thing turned into something productive. That you've written all these awesome books and you've got accolades and you got to be on Silver Spear podcast and that connected you to Shinedown and all, like, that's crazy. It was like a blessing in disguise.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I would have been a published author if I had stayed married, as bad as that might sound.
That's honestly what I'm saying. That's kind of weird and a blessing in disguise. Yeah.
So I took what a horrible negative is.
Yeah.
And I was able to find the positive to it. And I love time with my kids and I wouldn't change it or wouldn't trade it. But that time alone now, I love working on books and I love creating. I got a shelf of them now and hopefully at least one more coming out next year. I did 2 this year, which was a lot. I was planning to do 2 next year, but I'm rethinking that because I think I'm going to push the other one back a little bit. So I'll probably just get 1 in next year. But I do enjoy having that creative freedom of being able to, put the books out, tell my stories. I was writing a chapter an hour before we jumped on. It was it's a chapter from my book that's coming out. I'm planning for next summer. But it's not the Body Man book. The next Body Man book, I'm doing like Body Man every 2 years. So the Breach of Trust just came out this summer. So I'll put the sequel to the next one out in 2026. But the Body Man character is going to be back in a different story. With my female assassin from the Body Man series. She's got her own book next summer. So I was able to write a chapter with him in there this evening, which was fun.
So tell people listening or watching what the latest book's called Babylon Will Rise, right? That's the latest one. And
So
what's that one
different
about?
series.
Okay.
So this is the one I mentioned earlier in the podcast that kind of ties back to, and I make some references to it with Iran and Iraq, the war that happened with them.
Ooh.
So I love to mix fact and fiction. So fact is there was a war. It lasted for multiple years between Iran and Iraq, and Iraq used chemical weapons on Iran. Definitely a fact. Well, a little less of a fact is in my story. What happens if Iran gets access to a nuclear weapon? Well, Iraq's able to get the United States to provide them a weapon to offset that threat.
Oh, shit.
So Iraq keeps that weapon. It's under safe, it's under key. We have inspectors to go to make sure that they don't do anything bad with it. Well, when Bush 43 goes to invade Iraq, first thing we go to do is to recover those 2 nuclear weapons we gave them back in the 80s. They're not there. They're gone. So for the next 20 years, we're trying to find what happened to these 2 missing nuclear weapons. Well, they hit the black market on an arms dealer. And so we have to go recover those weapons.
Oh.
One gets used. So,
this sounds like a great one. Are you getting a lot of accolades for this book too? Or are you getting a lot of?
Everyone that's read it that has gotten back with me pretty much has been best book I've written. So book number
that's
4.
Awesome. I'd love to hear it.
Well, I think I'm getting, and I hope I would be. You're getting better at the craft. You're more comfortable. Yeah. I used to be very much, and I had this question recently, is how often do you write and all that? I mean, I used to have to write every night. It was just a discipline. I got to the point, especially after the divorce, where I didn't have every night available. So I've just been able to train myself in the last couple of years of when I have writing time, then that's spiritual. That's like a religious time. Like I have to be committed to that. So I'm able to sit on a plane or one of the chapters I wrote for the book that's coming out next summer, Supreme Justice, takes place in Ireland. So I was actually writing part of the chapter on the bus ride down to Cork, Southern Ireland. And I finished the chapter on the flight back to the Atlantic, coming across the ocean. So I can write anywhere. And that, again, what normally ends up happening too is I think Babylon Will Rise is the best book I've ever written. But I'm working on another one, and my gut feeling on as I'm writing it is, okay, I've gotten better at this. This is a better story. I like the characters, and I really like Babylon Will Rise. And that's, I hope, will continue. I don't want to write a book and be like, I just dialed it in and I wrote a story and I hope people like it. It's like, no, I want this to be my favorite story, and the next one hopefully will be my favorite story when I write that one.
Yeah. Did you say though that you feel like the book sales are down overall or something, and that's just because of just the economy or something, or just in general book sales are down?
They definitely are. And I've talked to a lot of authors in the last couple of months, and universally pretty much everyone that's able to see numbers and talk numbers all says, man, it's dropped just even the course of the last 6 months. And I don't know exactly why that is. I'm kind of trying to figure out if we just have to change our marketing scheme of where we're going, Facebook or Amazon ads or whatever process we're using as a whole. Again, circling back to what we talked about before, though, this has been a wacky year. So right now we're having these drone discussions.
Right.
Well, a couple months ago, we had a former president and the leading Republican, person at the time get shot in the face, in the ear. Right before that, you had the current president who was running all along, all of a sudden be like, one weekend, okay, not running.
Right.
And instead of having
maybe people aren't thinking like, I want to buy a book. Like there's so much crazy shit going on in the world already that maybe they're just focused on that whole thing and not. Maybe now that stuff's all dying down. So maybe we can get back to like, that's what I'm trying to do with my podcast. I'm like, okay, like I'm tired, like even the social issues and stuff, like maybe I should just get back to simpler things and just talk music with people. And people seem to like that. Have more rock stars on and shit like that. I don't know.
And that's like with talking back earlier about my podcast is, I bring on, and I like to bring more than just authors. I like to bring creative types on, but most of them have been authors so far. And I think people do gravitate to that because, you might bring in some events that are happening that shape your books. but you're not hitting them over the head with, Republican or Democrat or social stuff that's going on or drones or whatever. It's much more about the craft of writing and where
That's
creativity comes from. And I think people gravitate towards that because it's taking them away from the everyday stresses that a lot of times the news cycle is just, it doesn't really foster joy in people. If anything, right now people
I
are
find
looking
it
out the
kind of
windows.
humorous though. If I go on Twitter and or X or whatever it's called, like I have to just laugh at so much how crazy the world is. Like it is just kind of like this whole drone thing. I don't even know. I mean, maybe I should be scared to death. I don't know, but it just seems like it's so crazy that there's these drones in New Jersey that people are saying there's drones, and then the government is saying no, everything's fine, everything's cool. Like, don't worry about the drones. They're just 7-Eleven. I'm like, okay, I don't know. It's just okay.
Well, it's the first time in my life.
Nice to just have distractions and just, I don't know. I got sick the other day and I started binging the Sopranos. So I'm on like season four now, and I'm feeling better, but I still binging the Sopranos.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, this show is so great. I just love getting wrapped up in these characters and like, this is a great distraction for me, and I'm loving. Yeah, so you're right, and I think the stories, the fiction it's a nice distraction to just like get into a good show or book or a movie or a sporting event and just take your mind away from all the crazy shit in the world, because there is a lot of that.
Well, and you can't control most of it. That's where I think people get so worked up. I was going to say my daughter in the last month, basically, and I've never had this question come up as a parent, because of all this talk about nuclear war, possibly with Russia and what's going on with Ukraine. And she's like, Daddy, do you think we'd ever have a nuclear war? Again, not a conversation I expected to have with my 13-year-old, but I did. And I tried to reassure her as much as I could. But at the end of the day, and I'm not going to tell this to her, but at the end of the day, if we start a nuclear war with Russia, I mean, we're all dead. We're probably all dead pretty quickly. Some people might survive it, but not too many in the United States. If you want to survive, move to like Australia. That's where you're going to make it.
Yeah. Do we have like an Iron Dome kind of thing here, do you think? Because no, we don't.
Even if we did, I should know what the number is. I think it's like, man, is it 2,700 or 3,700? I don't know. I forget how many nuclear weapons Russia has and we have.
Yeah. Well, if they say that, I don't think it would work on a nuke, right? Because if you shoot a nuke down, it's just the nuke's still going to blow up, and then you're going to have what do you call that? Fallout or whatever.
Well, you actually want the nuke to detonate above. You want it to detonate above the atmosphere is what you want, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But still, it's not good, right? Or wouldn't that be bad for climate change or something?
Probably not very good for climate change. Basically, whoever survived most of the middle part of the plains would be a frozen tundra for 10 years or whatever. I mean, if you look at the stat, which I've looked at them for book stuff, and they're pretty depressing. But, okay, you're a millionaire or billionaire and you go build a bunker out in the middle of Kansas or Maui or wherever. Do you really want to go live underground for 7 years? I mean, no,
it's funny. I have this conversation with my friend. It's like, what do you say? Like, I like the way he puts it. He's like, look, if like shit, if things go crazy in the world, we get an EMP or something. He's like, I mean, I'll be good for like a few months or so. After that, he's like, I think I'm done. He's like, I'm not interested in living out The Walking Dead. I'm like, it's a good point. Do you really want to live out The Walking Dead? Like, I don't know that I do. Like, I think I had a good run, man. I had 46 years, and I didn't get to go to Europe yet, but I got to see it on TV, and I've had some good friendships, and I've done some good things, and I could call it good at 46 and be, that wasn't so bad. I don't know. Yeah. To live out The Walking Dead, I'm like, I don't know that wouldn't be very fun.
No, I don't think
Every day would just be stressful, like even more so than it is now. Like our life is pretty good for the most part. You got to think, if you're an American, you have a roof over your head, you have food, like that's like things that a lot of people in other countries have to worry about every day. And like, if we had an EMP or something crazy like that here and you had to worry about that shit every day, like it'd be pretty hard to adjust to that. I feel like.
I think and I'll get the statistic wrong. I wish I had it out and clear in my head because I've looked at it before. I think it's something along the lines of 20% of the world population does not have access to the plumbing that we have in the United States. So
Oh,
20%
sure, I
of the
believe
world
that. Yeah,
does not have toilets, does not have
yeah,
showers, does not have stuff that, we can go down the hall and go take a crap after we get done talking here.
right,
Those people have to go, in an outhouse or go wherever, and they have to worry about getting dysentery and all this other stuff. We don't realize how good we have it. I sure
right.
don't. I sure don't appreciate it enough. I know, but we got it pretty good. Would I want to go
Yeah.
live? Would I want to go live? What it was like a couple thousand years ago when there was no technologies, no nothing. I
But
don't
see, don't you
know.
think it's also there's a part of me that goes, some of those people, maybe not the people that are going to get dysentery that don't have indoor plumbing, but like there's some people that are living a more simplified life. That are farmers
Oh
in
yeah,
some country that are happier than America. Like Americans are some of the most miserable people in the
yeah,
world. I think we're especially the young generation right now is very unhappy and struggling with depression. And
yep,
I mean, you call it what you want, depression, mental health, or just general unhappiness. I don't know. But I mean, it makes you wonder how much of the technology is at fault for that. And again, go back to what I
mhm,
was saying earlier with the community and just having real relationships and feeling like you have a purpose and you're part of something and all that stuff. So
yeah,
with
yeah,
that, I will say that thank you for doing this, and people should
yeah.
get your new book. And Grant was saying the drones are aliens, which hey, they might be. But yeah, I mean, it's getting late, and I just wanted to,
As
I don't know if
long as
there's
they
anything
bring
else.
Elvis back, as long as
Yeah,
one of them brings Elvis back, bring back Bob Joyce, bring Elvis back.
yeah, I love alien stuff. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, with that, I want to let people tell them to get off their computers and internet and go back and interact with their families and loved ones
Go have
and do
community.
all that stuff. And unless, yeah, is there anything else? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. If there's something else you want to add,
No,
anything
we're
that we
good.
talked about or
We're
promote
good.
your book.
I appreciate you letting me come on, and I hope you keep doing this.
Yeah. And like, so if people want to get that, just go to ericbishop.com or follow you on Instagram or Facebook
Don't
or,
forget the P. If you don't forget
oh,
Eric P. Bishop.
Eric T. Bishop. Yes. And, but I
Yeah,
mean, your books, you can get them on Amazon or
yeah,
all that stuff. And if they don't, even if they don't like the books, that's not their thing. These make great gifts for the holidays, whether, and it doesn't matter if you're Christmas or Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, like, you're not going to discriminate when you sell the book. You'll sell to anybody. So
the Body Man and the Omega Group series can be in the hands of anybody, even your enemies, frenemies. Give them a book. Maybe they'll love
yeah,
you more.
yeah, very cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Eric. And
Thanks for having me on.
I can't believe we had like 30 people watching. I don't know if that's real or if maybe that's some sort of fake statistic. I don't know, but thank you to everyone that watched it and the few people that commented. I was hoping we get more comments and things, but I don't know who Motivational Moxie is, but thank you. What's up, sir? What's up with you, Mr. Moxie? It's very cool. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, Eric. And yeah, we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Chuck. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks
Take
for
care.
staying up late too. Go to
No
bed now, I
problem.
guess. All right. See ya.